r/ask Reddit. What small thing makes you automatically distrust someone? They constantly talk shit about others, but all the stories are skewed to their favor. I watch my mouth around people like that and try to only say things I don't mind getting out. Our local librarian will talk about anyone, good or bad. Usually she tries to act like everyone already knows and believes what she's saying. So she just has to hint and raise her eyebrows. And she remembers basically everything you've ever told her. So I too try to give her as little as possible outside of what I'm fine with everyone knowing. Edit. It's a small town. So she has legit known me for 20 years. I don't think I'd be able to feed her lies, and I don't want her to call me out on it in 10 years. It seems to me that a lot of the gossip is either 20 years outdated or stuff about people who work for the town MDETC that the other people in those fields also know or talk about. Such a weird position to be the gossipy type. Sounds like an interesting neighborhood. People who can't keep something to themselves and talk about another person's private matters. I'm very private about myself, as trust takes years to build up but seconds to shatter. I'm admittedly bad about this. I feel like I generally talk too much in general, but sometimes I'm not great about realizing I might be saying something someone would rather I didn't. Working on it takes time. When you get started, try to think, would I be saying this if X was sitting here next to me? When they openly brag about ducking someone over. Edit. Alright, I ducking get it. It's not small at all. It didn't register in my head when I was typing this answer. I get it. You guys can stop now. I had an old manager at a fast food restaurant that bragged so much about doing this at a steakhouse. Their 7 ounces steaks could be cut between, let's say, 6 and 9 ounces. And he would intentionally cut them all at 6 ounces to save the company money. Which is okay, I guess, but I really hated it. And him for it. He was really scummy. By saying which is okay, I guess, does not mean I was okay with it. I mean that by the practices of his company it was fine. I did quit working for him the day he told me this story. I just imagined hundreds of steak zombies coming to take 1 ounce bites out of this guy's flesh. When they tell you all their exes are crazy. Edit. Proceeds to get flooded by people saying their exes are crazy. Or that they're all evil, and that you have to fight them to be with her. If they burst into coins when vanquished, you could make a nice profit on the side. When someone borrows something and never attempts to return or mention it until you bring it up. Yep, like money. I shouldn't have to ask for my money back. Bro, this is my highest voted reply. Thank you all. I delete my text messages right away sometimes. I have no record saying that I'll pay you. It's said so often I'm not worried about giving it away. Mistreating service people, children, less intelligent people and animals. Also the presumption that everyone around them is less intelligent. In their mind, anyone in a service role is less intelligent. They told me not to tell anyone, but never will trust someone like that. If they tell me other people's secrets, they'll no doubt tell other people mine. This isn't super accurate though, I get your point. Someone once told me not to tell anyone they were a child molester, so yeah, I didn't listen to that. While I agree with you, I do generally tell myself things that others have told me, with the understanding that I am telling him to vent rather than spill secrets and that it stays strictly between us. I know it's not always the best thing, but it works because I get the chance to talk out what I've been told and how I responded, and he listens. Edit. I've been getting a lot of flack for this comment. I ask permission before they tell me everything. I do not go behind someone's back to spill their secret to myself. I ask first. When they judge others for the very things they're guilty of themselves. I mean, I get that it's difficult to see your own faults sometimes, but it's pretty comical when the pot calls the kettle black. I know someone who always complains about people being arrogant and rude to her, but she doesn't realize that everyone feels like they're walking on eggshells around her because of how unnecessarily rude she can be over anything you say. When she complains about how mean everyone is at work and how difficult her job is, I can't help but wonder how much of it is self-inflicted because of her own personality and the way she responds to them. Oh man, this hits close to home. My parents were quite well off, self-employed real estate developers before the financial crisis. Then everything went tits up. My mom had to get a job for the first time in decades. She's incredibly smart and driven, and has this attitude that she is the only one who can do anything competently. For years she either quit or got fired from every job she had. She was always complaining about how terrible her managers were and how they were impossible to work with. And I kept thinking, yeah, maybe it's not them. She finally got a job she loves with people she likes, but the first few months were tough as, I assume, her co-workers got used to her aggressive style. When I catch them lying about something very small with no consequences if they were to tell the truth. Learned this behavior because of my father, who would get abusive over small and normal details and would change the rules every week without telling. If I lie about the number of people I was with, it's because I remember my father's anger over the fact that I saw too much or not enough friends. Also, both my parents used to believe me more when I lie and call me a liar when I told the truth. I don't know why I said that. Maybe so you know serial liars don't mean bad, but avoiding them still seems like a good plan, so keep on. That is a fairly common behavior on kids that suffered abuse or had controlling parents. I don't trust physicians who never say I don't know. The most dangerous physicians are the ones who make a bad call and then defend it with all their might. Those who answer a question incorrectly with supreme confidence. If a doc occasionally says I don't know, let's look it up, then I know I can trust her/him. I don't trust physicians, people who never say I don't know. I use this as a filter when I interview people for jobs. I'll deliberately ask questions without objective answers or that require information I know they don't have. Trying to bluster or persuade me your answer is the right one is a big red flag. My field is full of ambiguity, so it's important to get someone who understands that it's not as important to have all the answers as it is to know how to proceed when you don't have them all. If someone happily tells you they've cheated on someone before, one of the biggest red flags ever. When they put a lot of energy into manipulating people instead of just living their lives. Edit. Thanks for the silver. Also, many have pointed out that what I'm describing is not a small thing. Overall, that's true. However, what I'm talking about is the small, subtle efforts these people make throughout the day. That's what came to mind for me when considering the question. When they manipulate people in general. One better syndrome, where no matter what your experience, your history, your anecdote, theirs is better, worse, funnier. When I was younger we called them the one-upper. Well, when I was even younger than you I called them one-uppers before you ever did. Edit. I even get silver. Thank you everybody for the positive feedback. Never would have guessed this would catch fire like this. If I can't sleep around them, must be an enemy. Another red flag is if you can't fast travel around them and before you meet them there is a vendor with HP potions and a save point. Guy lives in a giant room, be wary. When they state something you know to be false as fact. Edit. As discussed below, it's more of a problem if they don't accept correction when presented with better information. Unless they plead ignorance and agree with you. True that. I'm having some people over this weekend. I'm gonna have drinks and some food. You should come by. Weekend comes. Thanks for coming everyone. So today I'd like to talk about an amazing business opportunity. Hell nah. To the nah. People actually do this? My boss did this to me and my wife once. Went over thinking it was gonna be a regular boring dinner party, but his wife wanted us to donate a few thousands into her candle company. Turned to shit when they started arguing about their relationship and got the cops called over. Worst dinner I ever had, SMH. Not respecting my decision when I say no to something small. Thank you for letting me know you don't respect boundaries. Are you sure you won't have a pomegranate? No pomegranate. No pomegranate. And their phone background is a selfie. My lab partner in bio's entire camera roll is pictures of herself. No other people or landscapes. Just her. I silently judge her so much for that. On the other hand, mine is mostly landscapes and clouds with no selfies. I have a lifelong aversion to my own image. Edit. The last part is a quote from Jared on Silicon Valley, if anyone was wondering. Repeatedly not following through. Small things too. Hey, I'll talk to you later this afternoon. Nothing. I listened to this great song. I'll send it to you. Nothing. I just feel like those little moments are foreshadowing bigger things, disappointments to come. Yep, I feel yeah. Whenever my girlfriend recommends a song, I listen to it, even if it's by a band I don't listen to, but whenever I return the favor, she never does. It hurts. Seriously does. I had a guy share a couple songs with me through some laid back conversation and I listened to them and commented on them and he was actually surprised I listened to them. It kinda made me sad. I mean, it's not that hard to do. Someone who constantly interrupts. Or someone who talks too much and then visibly turns off when it's not their turn to talk. I work with someone who does this. She will flat out walk away if you're talking even though you stood and listened to her rattle on about it and then repeat herself later because you didn't have the desired reaction the first time. She reminds me of my child. She's 53. When they give non-apologies after doing something wrong. Like, I'm sorry to see you feel that way instead of I'm sorry for what I did. Or, that's just the way I am. Or why do you care so much? Or it's not a big deal. I'm sorry to see you feel that way instead of I'm sorry for what I did. I have to say it. But sometimes apologies aren't warranted. And if someone ducks me over or does something that pisses me off and expects an apology, they can jump in a wood chipper. I'm sorry to see you feel that way. When they can't be happy when their friends succeed in the ways they haven't. If your jealousy is that profound, I don't want to be around you. When they don't turn down the music in the car so they can see better when parking. Clearly a psychopath. I turned down the music while getting a ticket from the machine while entering a parking lot. One time I had a friend with me and he asked me why I turned my music down to do that. I do it because you need to roll the window down to get your ticket out of the machine. There are many people walking past, coming to and from their cars. They might not want to hear my music. I just think it is polite to turn it down. I do it so the machine knows it has my full attention and I'm not being rude. When their opinions on the same topics change depending on who they are with. Edit. I wanted to clarify that I mean this for when people actively have different opinions about the same subjects all in the same day or week. Not enough time to change their mind, and if they change it that often then it still stands. You have no idea where someone stands if they consistently change their mind on things, and therefore I wouldn't trust them. I do not mean for this to apply to people who are just passively agreeing or not arguing in order to keep the peace with family or in a work situation. That's just being polite. From someone who was raised to never talk about money, religion, politics or family. Having conversations about anything related to those topics are extremely uncomfortable, and I tend to hide my opinions until I know for certain they will not cause conflict. Like, for example, after graduating high school I decided to become a biblical studies major. But I don't want to express that to everyone, especially people I don't know well, because people get weird about that. So sometimes I might say I am undecided. Any interviewer that brags about the family atmosphere at work or puts too much emphasis on the culture, we work really hard but we're like family, so it's totally okay if we take advantage of you. I left a job after our manager put a sniddy post on FB saying how we're a big family and he's so chill and better than other stores of the same company in the area. So we shouldn't complain about things to management because we wouldn't want to work at the other stores, right? This is a day after I found out my bonus had been cut for several months. Mate, if I worked at the other stores I'd have double the hours and a much larger bonus. Don't throw family in my face. Overtime means family. Family means no one gets what they deserve. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.